Verse of the day, Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. Romans 1 verse 20. For since the creation of the world God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse. The unveiling of the divine through creation. An examination of Romans 1 verse 20. The Apostle Paul's epistle to the Romans stands as a foundational text in Christian theology, offering profound insights into the nature of God, sin, and salvation. Central to his argument regarding human accountability is the declaration found in Romans 1 verse 20. For since the creation of the world God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse. This verse posits that the natural world serves as an unambiguous, universal testament to the existence and attributes of a transcendent creator. It moves beyond mere philosophical speculation, suggesting that empirical observation of the cosmos provides sufficient evidence of God's eternal power and divine nature, thereby leaving humanity without justification for unbelief. This exploration is on the implications of this assertion, examining how creation reveals divine characteristics and addressing the concept of universal culpability derived from this revelation. Creation as natural revelation. Paul outlines a form of revelation accessible to all people, regardless of prior scriptural teaching or direct prophetic intervention. This concept is known as general or natural revelation. The visible order, complexity, and sheer scale of the universe function as a constant, undeniable signpost pointing toward a source beyond itself. Consider, for example, the intricate laws of physics that govern celestial mechanics, the precise mathematical constants that allow stars to burn steadily, planets to maintain stable orbits, and gravity to operate consistently across unimaginable distances speak not of randomness, but of underlying, intelligent design. This speaks directly to the eternal power mentioned by Paul, the energy required to initiate and sustain the universe's structure over billions of years suggests an inexhaustible, non-contingent source of power. Demonstrations of divine nature. Beyond mere power, creation unveils the divine nature, the delicate balance necessary for life to emerge and thrive on Earth, the fine-tuning of atmospheric composition, axial tilt, and the habitable zone around our sun, suggests intentionality and wisdom. This complexity transcends brute force. It requires foresight and intricate planning, qualities inherent to a divine mind. While a purely materialistic worldview attempts to explain these phenomena through emergent complexity, Romans 1 verse 20 insists that the evidence points inherently toward a purposeful, divine intelligence whose characteristics, though invisible, are manifest through visible effects. The sheer beauty and aesthetic quality found in nature, from fractal patterns in ferns to the vivid colors of nebulae, further hint at a divine characteristic rooted in goodness and artistry. The issue of accountability, the final clause of the verse, so that men are without excuse, is crucial. Paul is not merely stating that God can be perceived, but that the perception leads to moral and epistemic accountability. If the evidence for a powerful, divine being is readily available in the observable world, then the subsequent choice to reject or ignore that evidence constitutes a willful act of rebellion or negligence. This universal accessibility differentiates natural revelation from special revelation, which requires specific historical events or written scripture. Every human, regardless of geographical location or historical epoch, has been confronted with the evidence of creation. The failure to acknowledge the Maker, Paul argues, is not due to a lack of data, but a failure of moral disposition, a deliberate suppression of known truth, which leads directly into the subsequent verses describing idolatry as the consequence of this suppression. Case studies in universal evidence. Modern scientific endeavors continually reinforce the comprehensiveness of this natural testimony. The discovery of the fine-tuning argument in cosmology, for instance, shows that even our most advanced understanding of the universe's initial conditions requires extraordinarily specific parameters to avoid immediate collapse or expansion into an uninhabitable void. Whether one looks at the quantum world or the macroscopic structure of galaxies, The underlying order suggests a foundational principle established by an intelligent legislator, confirming Paul's assertion that the invisible qualities are clearly seen through the resultant creation. Conclusion: Romans 1 verse 20 provides a robust theological foundation for understanding humanity's relationship with the Creator based on empirical observation. The universe is presented not as a silent accident, but as a vibrant, ongoing declaration of God's eternal power and divine nature. This revelation is complete enough to establish a baseline of accountability for all humankind, ensuring that no one can claim ignorance as a defense. The creation serves as an open book, transparently displaying the attributes of its author, making the choice to acknowledge or suppress this truth as a defining moral decision for every individual. Romans 1 verse 20 teaches that God's invisible attributes, specifically His eternal power and divine nature, are clearly revealed and understood through the created world, leaving humanity without excuse for not knowing Him. This natural revelation demonstrates a powerful Creator, making His existence and attributes evident through the design, order, and immense scope of the universe, implying a responsibility to acknowledge Him. Key themes in Romans 1 verse 20. General revelation. God reveals Himself universally through nature creation, contrasting with specific revelation scripture. Inherent qualities. His eternal power, immensity, sustaining force, and divine nature, being character, are observable. Clarity and evidence. These attributes are not hidden but clearly seen and understood by anyone observing creation. Human accountability. The revelation leaves people without excuse, meaning they cannot claim ignorance of God's existence or power. Creation as the book. The natural world acts as a book or poem, revealing God's craftsmanship, wisdom, and creative intent. How creation reveals God. Power. The vastness of the cosmos, the force of storms, and the intricate workings of ecosystems point to immense, sustaining power. Divine nature/character. The order, beauty, complexity, and apparent intentionality within creation reflect a divine mind and presence, suggesting a non-physical, eternal source. Implications of the verse. Universal knowledge. Everyone, including ancient pagans and modern atheists, has access to this fundamental knowledge of a Creator. Moral responsibility. Recognizing this truth creates an ethical obligation to respond with worship and obedience, making willful ignorance a culpable act. Wish you all a very blessed and a joyful Wednesday. Nazarene.